Hello, students, it's Pupo again. The speech mechanism, I want to check this with you. What is the most important physical matter that we have to study or to take into consideration when we study the sound production? This matter is the air. With no air, we cannot speak. For example, if we are under the water, we will not be able to speak or to be understood by others. So, air is really important for our communication system. So, if the air is the most important physical matter, our lungs will be the most important anatomical part of our body. You know that we need our lungs to breathe and to inhale the air and to exhale the air. And there are some other parts of our body that we need to take into account in order to know or to study our speech apparatus. These are nose cavity, this part, oral cavity, pharynx, larynx, the trachea, the lungs, and our diaphragm. So, which other elements we need to take into account? Our nose cavity, oral cavity, and pharynx, they take part of the resonators. The resonators magnify the sound coming from our lungs or our vocal folds. The oral cavity, within the oral cavity, we have the articulators. They are the palate, the tongue, the teeth, and the lips. Why do we call them resonators or amplifiers? Because when we make a sound with our vocal folds, here in this part, this sound is almost inaudible. And these cavities here make this sound get bigger and bigger, louder and louder. That's why we call these parts resonators. And the articulators, they are called this way because they can move or they can be touched by other parts of your body, like the tongue. The lower teeth are within the jaw. Okay, so our jaw can move. Yes, and the palate can be touched by our teeth too. So that is why we call these parts articulators. Then we have some other speech organs. The speech organs can be divided into nostrils, okay, nostrils here, upper and lower lip, upper and lower teeth. Then we can name the jaw, our jaw, this part, okay. Then the larynx again, the velum, the palate, and then the tongue. What is the velum? The velum is the back part of our palate that can move. If we take a mirror in front of us and we say the word anga as we say here in this part of Resistencia or in this part of Argentina, anga, which means poor thing. Anga, you can open this, you can open your mouth and say anga, and then get rid of the g sound. And the thing that is going up and down in the back part of your palate, that part is called the velum because it can go up and go down. And well, you know your tongue, you know which is your jaw, your upper and lower teeth, your upper and lower lip. They are perceivable. You can touch them. You can please clean your hands before touching them. Your nostrils, you can see them. The larynx is inside, so but we can see or study these parts or this part by checking some images from the internet, and that's all. So let's go to the tongue, the parts of the tongue. Okay, the parts of the tongue, we have some parts that we have to take into account in order to study the production of certain consonants. The tip, well, consonants and vowel sounds. The tip, this part, the blade, the front and the back. The tip and the blade are almost the same. In my consideration, tip refers to the shape of the tongue, which is thin, like this. And blade is the shape of the tongue that that forms a spoon in order to be spread all against the teeth in the back part of the teeth. So remember, tip, blade, front and back. Let's move to the palate. The parts of the palate. We have two parts. We can divide the palate into two parts. The hard palate, yeah, the hard palate is in front, and the soft palate, which is in the back part of your mouth. So the hard palate can be divided into, well, the palate can be divided into many parts, of course, but for us, we need just to check these parts. In the very front part of the palate, of the hard palate, yeah, you can touch this part, and it's a rough part, it's not smooth. That part behind the teeth is called the alveolar ridge, and many sounds are produced in this part. So please touch this part and you feel like a rough surface, and this part, this area is called alveolar ridge. And then you have the soft palate, and in the very back part of the soft palate, you can find the velum, as I told you before. The part that is moving in the upper part, not the tongue, in the upper part. That part is called the velum, which ends in the uvula, which is like the little bell in the cartoons when they scream, ah! Okay, so palate, hard palate, soft palate, and in the very front part of the hard palate, we have the alveolar ridge, and in the very back part of the soft palate we can find the velum. So we need to check these parts because many sounds are produced in these parts. Then we have the vocal folds. The vocal folds, they are two bands of muscles lying across the center of your larynx. They are like this, okay? They are two muscles. Yeah, they can have two positions. The positions are, well, first we need to check this image in order to know where this area of our body is, where we can find them. Our vocal cords or vocal folds are here. Okay, so here we have vocal folds seen from above. Okay, the space between the vocal folds, yeah, this space is called the glottis. So the glottis is a space, and you have these parts are your vocal folds. Okay, they are like this, and they can have two positions, yeah, an open position and a closed position. So think, when you exhale air, if you have an open position, they won't vibrate because they are open. And if you exhale, or if you produce certain sounds which make this part vibrate, this means that the vocal folds are closed, yeah, and the air passing through them makes them vibrate. Okay, so here you have, for example, open, close, vibration, no vibration. Okay, so if you touch here, you will feel the vibration. For example, if you utter vowel sounds, all of them vibrate. I, O, okay? So you will feel this vibration here if you touch your throat. And if you make these sounds like s, you won't feel any vibration. This means that the vocal folds are open. So remember to check the parts of your body that are in charge of your speech. Please, we need to do this because we need to analyze then how we produce every single sound. Okay, so please do it, and see you in the next video.